I'm Tony Perkins, and I'm editor-in-chief of AlwaysOn.
Gervais, the only authentic French restaurant in Silicon Valley.
AlwaysOn is a cross-media brand. Our content focus is covering the global Silicon Valley. We have a quarterly print magazine. We have a daily online site which really serves as a group blog for technology insiders, and we have 3 events. We hold the Innovation Summit here at Stanford University in July. We have an event called OnHollywood, which is coming up in May, and we're launching a 3rd event called Open Media 2006 in New York City. Well, I think we've identified 2 new online behavior pattern differences, one of which is the popularity of posting and sharing information. And blogs are great examples of people who easily post and share information for the benefit of all. So we've taken that blog-like environment and we've created a group blog environment. So we will do some traditional journalism like interview Eric Schmidt of Google and post that content and put that up for discussion. But we'll also have Martin Mikos, the CEO of MySQL, do a guest blog and from his perspective start dialoguing with our readers as well. The second behavior pattern is the whole social networking element. So when you join AlwaysOn, you have the ability to fill out a broad CV on yourself, and it's all interconnected so that you can find other people within our membership that went to your university, have your interests, and actually communicate with them on a one-to-one basis through a back-end private email system between members. So we've taken a lot of the qualities that we've seen that have become popular in the kind of Web 2.0 era and brought them under a media brand, so we have a much more open and transparent membership.
How does AlwaysOn make money?
Well, we have, at the end of the day, we're creating a lot of page views. We also have an average visit time of close to 9 minutes, which is very unprecedented because people are coming in and posting their own ideas, searching our social network, and this all makes for good media business. So we've in turn have Audi, the automobile maker, IBM, Sun Microsystems, Wilson Sonsini, the law firm, sponsoring our site. So at the end of the day, we are just using new qualities and features that have emerged in the media world to make money really the old-fashioned way, which is through advertising and sponsorship. Well, what we've seen is individual venture capitalists and lawyers and executives are just examples of some types of people who've started their own blogs, and by starting their own blogs they are building the brand for them, their personal brand as well as their reputation and their brand for the venture capital firm they represent or the company they represent. And these handful of folks in our world that have stepped up and started to blog, their visibility went way up. So people have recognized that from a professional brand building standpoint, it's good to use these new open media avenues to publish your thinking and your thoughts and really use it as a way to build a reputation, which translates into professional success. So while a lot of these folks, these bloggers, aren't making money through the act of blogging, there are a bunch of residual professional values that result. I think just editorially, all these years, I've always tried to maintain somewhat of a balanced view on how the world is going to shake out as a result of new technologies. So, to build a successful brand today and to capitalize on that brand monetarily, in my view, the smart people look at all the ways they can express themselves, whether it's in a group blog, daily online environment, whether it's a print environment, whether it's a face-to-face event environment, whether it is a podcast, or webcast environment, and bring together a combination of all of those expressions. And if you can orchestrate it and choreograph them properly, and to keep an eye on producing really high quality content and products and services, that you can find a business model that allows you to reach people in a variety of ways, and it allows your advertisers to express themselves in a variety of ways. And in our case, it's all added up to this combination of products. I would say that print is never going to die. I think readers.
It costs more money than a website. Print to distribute.
But the business secret behind our strategy is that we are able to generate several hundred thousands of dollars a year in always-on memberships by offering readers a combination of extra privileges online as well as this quarterly magazine. So this is not a unique strategy. ESPN does that. You get a monthly magazine in addition to extended. You're able to see content on the ESPN site that non-paying members aren't able to see. So it is a good tactic. I think that the world, for some reason, psychologically likes to get something physical in order to feel like it's worth paying for. So maybe that changes. But right now, when we introduced the magazine, our always-on memberships really saw a big boost. Plus, I think in print, it's more physical. You can reach people with your brand that aren't necessarily going to find you online. So it's been a great way. We gave out a couple hundred magazines today, and we're reaching people who might not have necessarily gone home and checked out Always On, but have a much greater chance of becoming familiar with our brand now that we've given them a magazine. Well, I think in the world that we cover, which again is the broader technology world, it's still part of the culture to go to well-crafted live events in order to spread your brand gospel, in order to meet new partners and customers, and as a means to gain some momentum behind your brand. I mean, that's what people are finding with social networking online. I'm starting a second company that's a software platform company, and I found my co-founder on the AlwaysOn network. So I think social networking, whether it's live or online, is an important part of any focused business environment, particularly Silicon Valley. We believe that the world is definitely becoming more and more comfortable listening and watching content online, and certainly they can download it to their iPods or other devices. They can share this content over the web, and again, there's a general trend towards more custom content. So for instance, if someone podcasts, Bill Gates' speech at the World Economic Forum in Davos, okay, that isn't necessarily traditional journalism, but to a certain set of pretty important people, hearing what directly comes out of the mouth of Bill Gates in an unedited podcast is a lot of value. And you can attract a solid audience with a good demographic, and then turn around and monetize that viewership through selling it to Audi as a sponsor, as an example. Yes, we've always made money. We have no investment. Like Red Herring, the original Red Herring, we bootstrapped the company and have really great support from a lot of major brands. I think it's important to understand that we represent a niche media brand, the business of technology, which is becoming very much an increasingly internationalized group of people. Over 40% of our readers of our online site are outside the United States, with growing populations obviously in India, in China, and other parts of the world. So it is a niche that focuses on the business of technology, and it's because it's a small group, but they have a super high demographic, very well educated, a lot of business power and influence over major purchases. It's very monetizable, but I think the key is to keep the business scale to the reality of the market, which is what we've done very carefully. Sure. Well, again, I think when you look at AlwaysOn, we have a participatory environment with a lot of in fact, over 90% of our content to AlwaysOn comes from our viewers. Okay, and I think that's really exciting. And then we have the social network element. So we were so excited about what it's done for our brand, we wanted to create a platform, a compatible platform that we just shared with the whole world. So in essence, at our OnHollywood event in May 2nd, we were launching the OnHollywood Network on the new platform, and from that day forward, anybody out on the internet within 15 minutes will, in essence, be able to create their own AlwaysOn network, which is a very easy-to-use publishing and community management system to create your own network of interest. And the neat thing is anybody that signs up for any of these communities, their member profile area will be interoperable across all the people that use that platform. So it's really positioned for serious content creators that are trying to build brand marketing networks, user communities, developer networks. We hope that some big media brands will see the worthiness and build on our platform. We also see a lot of nonprofits, and so it creates a network of a networks environment. So it's a very, by Silicon Valley standards, extremely bold initiative, but again, we believe that the instant messaging generation is where you need to put your bets on, and this Going On, which is the name of the network software, is situated squarely on top of the instant messaging generation.
You just mentioned.
I think there's always segments of different segments of the market that are subject to bubble tendencies. Certainly, venture capital is just falling from the trees, so we're still in a highly overfunded environment, which is good for the entrepreneur looking for money. And I see actually a lot of one feature-driven companies that are getting money, which in my mind, I can't quite see how they gain significant revenue. I can't see how these companies are going to go to 100 million in revenue, which would be the traditional criteria of a venture investment. So, you'll see a lot of wreckage. There's a lot of particularly Web 2.0 companies. I mean, personally, I don't even like the expression Web 2.0. I think if you want to make money, you got to live in Web 3.0. So a lot of these Web 2.0 companies, which were very experimental, I think you'll see fall off the railroad tracks, or like Flickr and Delicious and some of the were smart to sell out to the Yahoos and the Googles, which is definitely a new trend. If you bootstrap a company and you sell for $25 million to Google, that's not necessarily a bad day in business.
So you flip your company?
Yeah, you just flip it, but you see it because what you're doing is you're creating a community around a single feature, which, as a standalone business, is arguably unsustainable, but as a plug-in to Google, could be a beautiful thing. Sure thing.